about right. Less than 2% of our population rides the bus. Unfortunately, over the years, and this started back in 2007, we discovered some minutes from a meeting back in 2007 that the bus system was falling on hard times and running out of money. This is one of their projections. This is part of my slideshow. In 2011, they planned to lose $2 billion, and in 12, almost $6 billion, and in 2013, $9 million. So that's why we just had our property tax raised to support the bus system. Right now, it looks like they're going to be bankrupt in 2014 or 15 instead of 2013. It started back in 2007 that they noticed that things weren't going well, and they would have to collect more money. And now they found out that the latest property tax increase is not going to do the job either. So they came up with the idea of levying a sales tax in Pinellas County, an extra 1%. They didn't think we would buy the fact that we trade in paying $32 million in property tax, and instead we would pay $132 million or $128 million in sales tax. So they came up with the idea that what we would get in addition to the paid-for bus system would be a light rail system. And this is the map of the light rail system. It goes from downtown St. Petersburg to downtown Clearwater. Most of it in the southern part is either right downtown or it's going up the middle of 275. Once it gets up to Roosevelt, then it takes East and West Bay across, and then up into downtown Clearwater. That's 24 miles. It's projected to cost approximately $2 billion or $70 million per mile. This basically got started, as I said, back in 2007, and we know that our county commissioner, Karen Seal, started a task force to figure out how to sell this sales tax in light rail back in 2010. She's brought on Jack Latvala, Ed Hooper, Susan Latvala, Jeff Danner, one of our city councilmen here, Carl Nurse, of course. So all of these people are the ones that are cooking this up, and they have spent to date $4 million of our money to come up with this map. And that's about all they have to show for it is this map. Some of you might remember so when you total everything up, and it was quoted in the St. Petersburg Times when it was the St. Petersburg Times, the estimate was that it was going to cost us over the next 20 years, it would cost us $10 billion. Some of you might remember they were going to ask us to pay for a stadium downtown on the waterfront. That was going to be $400 million. Well, this is going to be one stadium every year for the next 30 years. I'm sorry, I said 20. It's the next 30 years. One stadium per year for the next 30 years. So that's exactly what it works out to. The operating cost and the capital cost of the light rail system is $10 billion. The way they're going to sell this to us is that it's a tax swap. In other words, the $32 million that we're now paying in property tax will turn into $128 million in sales tax, but we won't have to pay the property tax anymore. That will bail out the bus system and get us started on the light rail system. And I also have here just to give you an idea what's going on with the budget. In 2012, we're going to the operating expense, and this does not include the capital expense, is $57 million. to run the buses. Of that, about $37 million is for salaries and wages. The average, salaries and benefits. The average salary and benefit per person in the PSTA bus system in 2012 is $64,000 a year. That's the average. And think about it, folks. There are a lot of management people up there. It's mostly bus drivers, mechanics, that sort of thing. Average salary and benefits, $64,000 a year. With no significant increase in ridership. In fiscal year 2016, that will have increased to $78,000 per year per employee. And that's why they need the sales tax. It's to save the bus system and keep paying these people these exorbitant salaries. But they're dressing it up with the light rail. So, does anyone see anything wrong with this picture? Betsy are you handing those out, Betsy?
Yes, they're all handed out.
They're all handed out. Betsy's handing out a little fact sheet for you. I'm going to run through a few of those facts right quick. It costs too much, obviously. It's all taxpayer money. There are, obviously, until this thing is built, it's all our money. It may be called federal taxes, it may be called state grants, it might be called sales taxes, but it's all our money. No operating income will be going towards this for some time. It does not reduce congestion. That's one of the selling points, is it's going to reduce congestion. Not that we have a lot of congestion, but it won't reduce it because no one's going to sell their car so they can ride a train from downtown St. Pete to downtown Clearwater. It's not greener. One of the things that we all hear is that this is greener. Buses are not greener than cars. In fact, they use about 25% more energy per passenger mile than cars. The light rail uses about twice as much as a car in terms of the energy per passenger mile. The reason for that is because buses, as you see, are almost empty most of the time. The only time a bus is efficient is when it's full. But you have to run the bus all day long when it's empty, just because that's the service you have to provide. And it's the same thing with light rail. You all know about the Sunrail in South Florida. We support that. We taxpayers support that to the tune of $15 million a year, because if we don't support it, then we have to give a couple of $100 million back to the federal government that they funded. That same thing would happen with this light rail. We'd have to run it back and forth to Clearwater even if it's empty, because we'll be taking a lot of federal money. One of the other selling points is that it will increase development. So the idea is that you'll hear is that for every dollar we put into this light rail system, we'll get back X dollars, and it ranges from $2 to $4 per dollar that you put in, depending on who you hear. That's assuming that everyone believes that all their new developments have to be along this route. From downtown St. Pete up to Roosevelt, though, it's right down the middle of 275. So there's very little opportunity for development in the middle of 275. And we all know what the construction's going to be like along East Bay, West Bay for the next 3 to 5 years if they get started on it. The only people that really benefit from this are going to be the property owners of the property near the rail where it can be developed. And what we call this, what do we call this, Barb?
Flip the corridor.
Flip the corridor. This is the light rail corridor. What's going to happen is during construction, all these poor people are going to go out of business because people can't get to their door. The developers will buy up all that land. They'll flip it to the guys that want to build buildings on it and make a lot of money. That's one of the benefits of this. The other benefit is the rail contractors, the contractors that will come in and build the rail system, and the people who actually build the rail cars, and Siemens is really big into that business. So there's a lot of these people that will benefit, And the last group of people that will benefit are people who hate cars. Unfortunately, we're pretty well stuck with cars because of the way our county is laid out, where we live and where we shop and where we work. We need our cars. So I doubt that very many of you need to visit anyone in downtown Clearwater. What can you do about it? Well, you've seen some of our activities around town already. We're doing sign wavings to make people aware of what's going on. We've set up a website, and it's on this little handout that you have, railtaxfacts.com. railtaxfacts.com. We're going to keep you updated on what's going on. You can find a lot of reference material there. We have signs here. We ask that if you want a sign for your yard, that you donate $3 to us, because that's the cost of a sign, and that's how we buy more signs. You can put a sign in your yard. You can come to the sign wavings. And we have 24/7 sign wavings available, and magnetic signs. Put them on the side of your car. This will make more people aware of what's going on, and we can get these for you for $21 a piece. Sounds like a lot of money, but wait till you start paying another 1% sales tax for the rest of your life. So, and the point is we have to get the word out, because what's going to happen is Jack Litvala and Ed Hooper have already gotten this through the state legislature, and it's now approved that we can have a referendum for 1% sales tax. That means that PSTA will be spending millions of our dollars, taxpayer dollars again, to advertise all the benefits of light rail. And most people who are out there voting don't really know what they're voting for. So if the advertising is good, they're going to vote for it unless you tell them what's going on, and we make them aware of that. So that's why we need your help. You also have all of the county commissioners' names, telephone numbers, and emails on the handout that we gave you. If you'll call them and let them think about this idea, tell them we don't even want the referendum, that will help tremendously. Unless we get some pressure on these people, they are going to say, well, we'll let the people vote for it. And that's what we really don't want, is because of all of the advertising. There will be millions of dollars of advertising, and that's hard for us to cope with. County commissioners have to vote to put the increased sales tax on the ballot, a referendum on the ballot for the citizens to vote on. If we can get 3 county commissioners to vote no on putting the referendum on the ballot, then we won't even have to fight it with the public. See, I used to live in Mississippi, and we went through this in Mississippi with casinos. The casinos successfully lobbied the legislature to let the local entities, the local counties, vote local gambling in. Now what happened? Well, what happened is that the casinos could spend millions of dollars in advertising, talking about all the wonderful jobs that were going to be brought to town, and all these buildings, and all this tax, and how much money we'd all make, and all that sort of thing. Well, when they advertise like that, the average voter doesn't see the other side of it. The average citizens can't, like me and Betsy and Barb, we can't get out and cover 1 million people in Pinellas County. So they buy into the advertising, and before you know it, they vote, without knowing what they're voting for, they voted themselves a 1% sales tax increase. And once you're into this, it goes on forever, because you will be borrowing a lot, or not borrowing. You get a lot of money from the federal government, and you have to give that money back if the thing doesn't work out. So that's why we want the county commissioners not to even put it on the referendum. We did spend $4 million of our taxpayer dollars to come up with some consultants' ideas of what the ridership might be like. If you point to real live instances, and the 3 that PSTA points to are Phoenix, Houston, and Charlotte. Quite frankly, light rail is a fad. Lots of people are buying into the idea that this is the way of the future. They are not getting anywhere near the ridership projected, and let me just tell you that in Phoenix, it works out with the capital investment that the subsidy, the taxpayer subsidy of the people on those trains is $32.73 per trip. It's costing them $64 to move somebody to their job and back, or wherever they're going.
In the advertising that's going to come out for the people who want the light rail, I'm afraid people are going to be confused that they're going to not have to pay property taxes at all, no ad valorem. And gee, I'll just have to pay a 1% sales tax. So they need to be made aware that it is just a very small portion of their ad valorem tax. Just the, is it PST? No. Suncoast, Transit, whatever. Not their whole ad valorem, because that could be misunderstood in a referendum if they think that that's going to go away and only get 1% sales tax.
You're assuming that they're the only ones that are going, the other side are the only ones that are going to present an argument. I'm sure this side, our side,
Where are we
would
gonna get the
also
money?
present an
They
argument
have
to the
millions.
general public.
They have
have
millions.
that kind of money.
We don't have the money to put up billboards and that sort of thing, so.
Maybe not.
Okay, I'm sorry for going over. Thank you, Gail. Good. Appreciate it.